What's going on, people? Welcome back to the channel. I'm Aiden, and today we're watching Shadow and Bone Season 1, Episode 4, Otkazat'sya. Okay then. Last episode we managed to get a continuation for both the storylines, both for Alina and this Dread gang. If you remember, the gang managed to cross the Shadowfold by working with the conductor and getting on his train through this shadow fold. They obviously ran into a few hiccups along the way. Jasper barely escaped with his life after he gambled away all of their money to buy that coal, so instead he had to steal it and make a break for it, and he barely got there in time. But obviously he managed to save himself, and he stood up to the plate, using his sharpshooting ability to take out... I keep wanting to call them gargoyle creatures. I need to find out the actual name. Let's have a look. I'll have a look. Volcra. Okay, Volcra. That makes sense. I've heard it a few times, but for some reason I keep calling them gargoyle creatures. I don't even know why I think they're gargoyles, but yeah, that scene on the train where at first he's hugging on to the goat, and then he goes calm, takes a few steps, shoots into the ceiling, scaring away most of them, I imagine, and then his final blow into the one that broke in. Super badass scene, and I've mentioned a few times now, and Jasper is definitely my favourite character of this show so far. He's interesting, you know, he's quirky, he's awkward, but he's good at what he does. You know, he has his character flaws, but he's good at what he does. We also got to see Alina in the first palace and how she's all of a sudden kind of being treated like royalty by certain groups. Not everyone, of course. She had that run-in with, is it Zoya, on the training field where she had to fight her. And of course, Alina got her ass beaten. I think it was expected. Perhaps later down the road, she'll get her comeuppance and get the revenge on this girl who has a real stick up her ass, you know. I'm looking forward to that scene. We finally get the whatever this summoner can do in combat. I want to see it. Whether it's that she's going to use a fist, which I doubt that's going to be the case. Sun summoning is definitely going to have some kind of badass combat abilities, surely. Yeah, so we saw her at court having to show her abilities to the king at the time. Obviously, General Kirigan had to use his own abilities as a summoner to kind of force her power out. She does not yet know how to control it, which might be an issue. It might be an issue. Right now, I'm convinced that she only really knows how to use it once she's hurt. You know, she's in a tough spot. If you remember in the first episode, obviously she was grabbed on from the back by one of the Volcra. That's when she used it. She was in danger. And then the second time was when General Kirigan used his silver claw to cut open her arm and light seeped out. So obviously she's going to have to be working on that, and I'd imagine over the next few episodes that's what we're going to see. Right, before we move into this reaction, I just want to say I do have full reactions available on my Patreon account, if that's something that interests you. The episodes will be on there a few weeks early, if possible. I'm doing a few back-to-back today, so they should be up there by the time you're seeing this. Also, obviously this show only has 8 episodes, so it's already coming up on being finished. If you would like to participate in a Patreon exclusive poll to choose what I watch next, then you can do that as well. I need to figure out what to do after this show, which, based on for where I'm recording right now, episode 4, is probably in a few days when I'll be finished. So I guess we'll see. Anyway, let's get into this. Okay, this is the first army. There he is, yeah, Mal.
Dear Alina, weeks gone and still no.
Oh, he's writing back, okay.
This is my third letter.
Also, obviously their letters aren't reaching each other. I'm guessing the First Palace is probably controlling that.
I can't stop seeing your face set down the skiff. I'm not sure I ever will.
Give him nightmares, that sort of thing. It's a person that you thought you knew, you know, thick and thin, everything about them was holding in this gigantic secret. There's a lot they've changed in secret that perhaps she didn't even know herself, really.
I love it when she does that.
And everyone gets letters and he's left alone.
Smells like braised lamb. You're an idiot.
I'm assuming that's supposed to be something best not talked about.
Is tasked with volunteering a tracking party. General Kirigan is offering a visit all the way to the Little Palace. For the one who can find Morisova's...
Oh. So that's what Alina is seeing in her dreams, right?
That's right, the ancient mythical creature.
Coincidence? I think not.
If you please.
I'll do it. I'll go.
Good man. Stick to your word. Work yourself up into the First Palace, like you said you would.
Please, call me Alexander.
See, this is perfect, actually. Obviously, he's on his black stallion, perfect, matching his character, and she, the Lady of Light, is obviously on the white horse. Perfect imagery, right? It's really cool.
So,
that went well.
Absolutely traumatized, mate. He looks it. I don't know if he looks like he's had one too many beers, or is he just frazzled from that experience? His hair looks it.
Now that we're 3 days travel from the capital.
He's usually got perfect hair, ain't he?
Way inside the little...
And she's fine with it. She's just snacking along.
let's promise never to forget each other, Milo.
Milo.
But I must go now. I leave you in the care of this lovely barmaid, who needs your support here.
He's just going to be put into the stew, isn't he? That's the reality of life. A man's in love. I don't blame him.
Just not sure I understand where this road leads.
I do know how you feel, Miss Rocco.
I wonder what his past is like.
Once I realized that I was a descendant of the most hated Grisha in Ravka.
Oh. It was his family member that caused the Shadowfold then. Interesting.
The heretic knew he was outnumbered, so he attempted to create an army of his own using the same forbidden science Moritzova once used to create his amplifiers.
Damn.
But he failed. He created the Fold instead, and was killed by it, along with countless others.
I have devoted my life to undoing the great sin of my forebearer.
It's interesting to learn about this, actually.
Only as a reminder of the problem.
So that was one of my big questions that I thought last episode was going to answer. Where the Shadowfold came from. Its origin. Turns out, it is the ancestry of General Kirigan that's the issue here.
And I'll be the brand new heretic.
It's a lot of pressure for her to fulfill. Especially when she doesn't even understand how to use her powers. Let alone do good with them. See, this makes me feel like perhaps he isn't the bad guy. Perhaps he is trying to help and fix the wrongdoings of his family. But I suppose that's kind of what they want from him, right? The way he's dressed. He is the Shadow Summoner. Maybe he should be looked at as a bad person. But is he? That's the real question.
Stop it!
That is the case then. That is the case.
You're not sleeping enough.
So is it connected to emotions then? Which is anxious and angered.
Good day to you, sir. My name is Ivanovsky, the sculptor, yes.
All right.
I am in
This is going to be great. Finally get to see them in action. Putting all their skills to the test with a heist. That's sick. That's so sick.
I'll set a trail of phosphorus that will lead you straight to the target.
And then follow your trail straight to the blueprints.
Oh god. Just following his path. Honestly, that's terrifying. Imagine being that guard. You've got this person sneaking behind you. You can't see him. It's in your shadow. Jesus. Horrifying. Go on, Jesper. Perfect shot. Perfectly timed as well. Mate, that's sick. A second earlier or second later, that would have been a disaster. Nice. So here they are. Managed to get their blueprints to the first palace. One step closer to getting access to Alina.
Magical deer scan. This hurt's different. Even in the frost, they're not going hungry. Their alpha is exceptional. Knows these lands incredibly well.
I suppose this is the example of, I was in the first episode, I didn't necessarily know what his role was, Mal's role as a tracker. And obviously, as someone pointed out in the comments, tracker is a regular tracker, like regular life, a hunter. And this obviously proves that he's very good at what he's doing. He knows what he's going on about, right? Oh yes, okay. This is the heart renderer that General Kirigan was talking about. Captured by the Freudian or whatever they're called.
Our witch is so used to deceit, they can't accept good manners.
Manners. You talk of manners.
You can't call it manners when you're chained up, yeah.
Trying to feed you.
Why?
And what's the point in trying to feed her? You also don't care about how she's feeling or the comfort. Got her chained up. I mean, she's got some fight in her. And, you know, got to kind of respect her for it. It'd be very easy just to accept, you know, what's happening.
They have been invited to perform in this year's Winter Fete.
A lifelong dream.
At the First Palace.
But they lost their star performer due to an unfortunate freak accident.
He's good, he's good. Yeah, pulling the strings behind the scenes. I mean, the fact he managed to get through the Shadowfold probably says all that needs to be said, right? He knows what he's doing. He knows how to play people. He's starting to get the hang of it then.
Can't be your crutch forever. And the use of amplifiers is a barbaric, lazy
You could at
practice.
least try to be encouraging.
I'm not your mother. But I guess you'll always be looking for one of those.
Ah, little bitch. She's trying to poke. No, she isn't, is she? She isn't. She's playing the right character she needs to help Alina. She needs that, she needs to be able to let go emotionally, right?
Come.
There's nothing to worry about.
If you're not Grisha, your life will carry on.
It's interesting cinematography. The young Alina spawning from the current Alina, watching over her as she goes through this traumatic experience.
What happened on this day?
I was tested. I knew the testers used sudden pain to detect Grisha power. But it wouldn't show if I was already in pain. So I protected myself.
Ah, okay. She's holding on to one of the pieces of the pot she broke. That's how she did it. That's how she got away. That's why she still got that scar, maybe? Does she have a scar? Okay, yeah, she does have a scar.
I'm trying.
How many more Ravkin children need to be orphaned to this war because you are afraid to face the truth?
Damn. Horrible way to put it. Horrible way to put it.
Not at all. Go and sleep. Come in.
I've got a feeling that they might be growing attached to each other, if you know what I mean. Two people bound together by, I suppose not by choice, but by will, I guess. Oh wow. Is that of her own doing, or is that him helping her? I doubt. When they combine together, it works, even though she can't control it herself.
I've been waiting a long time for you.
Ooh, Mal's gonna be pissed. He's gonna be pissed when he finds out. Oh god. Oh god. He's gonna turn straight back round. Back to where he came.
If it gets bad, kill the captives.
Sir?
The last thing we want is for one of them to get loose when we're taking on water. Huh?
But sir, they are due to stand trial.
That's interesting, actually. The fact that this guy seems to, even with his strange ideals, he still lives up to a certain level of dignity for honour and the legal system at the time. The right thing to do in his mind.
We're crossing into Fjorden territory!
Your last chance to turn around.
You two split the prize. Keep up!
I've got a bad feeling about this. It's one of his two friends are going to get captured, hurt, or, God forbid, die. That's likely what's going to happen though, right?
Anything for me?
They're holding it. Of course they're holding it. The letters aren't just getting lost, are they? Of course they're not. They're trying to manipulate her. I suppose, again, if she just hold on to that past, it's just not going to work for her. The powers.
Okay. Together.
This is Alina.
Your little friend from Ramsin. This is her.
Little friend.
That's what she needs to do. She needs to speak to her tailor friend and get the scar fixed. Even though it is a keepsake for her. But she has to get rid of it, don't she? That's the key. That's the key. Yes!
Good girl.
She's doing it.
Now the work begins.
She looks fucking badass as well doing that.
When you lit up Kirigan.
What is it?
Shit. Shit. Of course it doesn't work. Of course it's jammed. It's jammed. Of course it'd be. It's pretty dick away. Get in the fight. Jesus. Yes. It's Bolard. Saved. Saved. Fucking lucky. Lucky bastards. I could have swore one of them was going to die there. Fucking machine gun. A machine gun. I didn't know they had machine guns at this time. You got ripped to shreds by bullets. Okay, yeah, okay.
You wanted to see me.
She's going to fix it. Okay, I knew it was going to happen. This is the character development that she needs, right? They're both dead. Both of his friends are dead. I called it. I didn't want to be right. I didn't want to be right, but I knew it was going to happen. I knew it was going to happen. Of course it happened while he had his Todger out.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
I know it's probably poor timing, but to be fair to him, it's not his fault this happened. End of the day, someone was going to have to come out here and look for this magical deer or elk, whatever, or where it is. And yes, his friends have died, but I would not put that down on Mal. They came out their own free will. There's this majestic creature. It's a blue, moonlit scene. It's beautiful. Beautiful.
You are my true north, and I can see my way to you now.
Oh, wow. That was an interesting ending. He referred to Alina as his true north, which, if you remember, I think it was the last episode, the beginning of... No, it was the end of last episode. Alina was speaking about how Mal taught her about cardinal north, which is the north on the compass, and then true north is where home is. And for Alina, home was with Mal and being on that field of green. It's going to be interesting to see, now that she's got rid of the scar on the palm of her hand, is this the change in Alina where her care for Mal is gone, or slowly going. She can't hold on to these kind of things if she's going to be the Sun Summoner. If that's the case, that's honestly quite sad, really. I know it's what she has to do. You know, she's got this power. She has to do something with it. Try and fix the mistakes of General Kirigan's ancestry. But from the perspective of Mal, damn, you got to feel bad. You got to feel bad for the guy. Honestly, I'm very surprised at how quickly that episode seemed to have gone by. It felt like I was sitting here for 10 minutes, but obviously not. That was a 45 minutes. So it was a good episode. We got a lot of content. So that ending for Mal, that's going to be devastating for him, isn't it? He's just gone onto this trek to find this magical creature, this deer with the almost like enchanted ornamental horns, or antlers, sorry. He's done all this as his opportunity to get to the first palace and a chance to perhaps see Alina, maybe even try and break her out. I don't know. And in this process, his two best friends in the first army perished pretty poorly, if I'm being honest. You know, his friends were shanked like a shish kebab. You know, it's not good. It's not good. So he's lost a lot on this journey. He took a stabbing himself, didn't he? So it's going to take him a while to recover from that. He's going to eventually get to the first palace and see Alina is likely, I think, falling for General Kirigan, or he's falling for her. I don't know. It's a weird relationship. I feel like they're in right now. You know, a lot of pressure on the both of them. You know what happens when that put pressure on two people, put them in a room for too long. You know, things happen. He's going to get there and he's going to be destroyed. He's lost so much to get there. Actually, no, thinking about it, obviously we've got the gang now. They went through their process of getting the blueprints. So eventually they're going to make their way to the first palace and see if they can get Alina. I'm wondering now whether Mal is somehow going to run into this gang and figure out that they're both after the same thing. They both want Alina. For different reasons, obviously. Perhaps they will find out that her powers are real and she can be used for something. Maybe they want to sell the powers for themselves. I'm not sure. I mean, the million Kruger deal is probably... it's a lot of money, but perhaps not in the grand scheme of things. Yeah, mentioning the gang and their activities, they had an interesting setup here. Obviously, they had to find their way into... was that a museum? It was heavily guarded. I think it might have been a museum, an art museum. He was mentioned in paintings, wasn't he? Jesper. No, Kaz. So we finally got to see the gang pull together and put their skills in use with what they're good at. A heist of this museum. Kaz is obviously this charming character who goes in there, you know, talks the talk and gets access to this place. Inej, who is obviously very good at her stealth skills and getting in and out and not being seen, she managed to sneak in and grab the blueprints to the first palace. That scene, that scene where there was the night guard who was obviously alerted to something going on in that place, and Inej is following in his shadows Wherever he turns, she's right behind him. That's fucking freaky. That is freaky deaky. I do not like that. See, that's the type of thing that gives me nightmares. You know, growing up as a kid, I've always had this thing where, in class, for instance, when I was in school, I couldn't sit at the front of the class because I always had this anxiety about people being behind me. And the idea of this girl who obviously has the skills to murder that person 10 times over, it's just terrifying. It's terrifying. But at the end of the day, she was locked in that place. She was locked in the museum by the guard, and Jesper had to save the day. He keeps doing it. He keeps helping out. Yeah, he didn't have his goat this time to keep him calm, but he's a sharpshooter, and he took his pot shot the lock off, and they managed to walk free with the blueprint. Well, it's not actually the blueprint, is it? They took a copy of the blueprint. After the heist, we got to see what the conductor had been up to, and it just goes to show how good he is at his job. You know, forget about what he does, you know, he is good at what he does. He managed to find this travelling band who were obviously performing in the pub at the time, and use his slippery way to convince them to take the gang along. Obviously, this didn't come without him manipulating the situation by, I think, was that oil he put on the curtain? That's what it's called. Is that I don't know. What is the official term for that gig? It's not trapeze, is it? Trapeze? No, trapeze is the ring in the air, ain't it? I don't know. Turns out I don't know my circus, so it doesn't really matter. But yeah, he put oil on that thing, and the performer slipped and probably killed herself, let's be honest. Broke her neck. So Inej proved that she has those skills. I know she's, you know, agile and all that, but that seems like a very difficult skill. A lot of a strong core for that, I'd imagine. Jesper obviously managed to get on board as well with his amazing sharpshooting ability, shooting the card out of Inej's mouth while she's spinning and he's only looking in a mirror, shooting behind its head. Badass. He's such a badass character, ain't he? Such a badass character. Somehow, Kaz is going to have to find his own way there, and I'm sure that's going to go quite well. Maybe that leads into Mal. Maybe he links up with Mal, and that's how they perhaps get together. I don't know. Interesting, I think. Interesting. But yeah, very strong episode, I think. Very strong indeed. So, thanks for watching this video. If you liked my reaction and my thoughts, then give a thumbs up and subscribe to stay up to date with more of these episodes. Let me know other shows you think might be worth watching, and I'll put them on the list and we'll see from there. Anyway, cheers.